Okay, in this tutorial we're going to learn how to create a surface. Hopefully you have already read the chapter in the book describing what a surface and contouring is because I'm not going to go into detail about it. So if you have questions as to what contours are, refer to the book. Okay, first we're going to make some changes to our template drawing. So once you go to the open icon up here, and open up your template that you've created for this class. And then go ahead and open up AutoCAD Civil 3D NCS, the Imperial one. Okay, now on your tool space, make sure your tool space is on, and then we're going to go to the Settings tab. And again, if you can't find this, then these three wrenches is what turns that off and on. There's the Settings tab. And under the surfaces, there are surface styles and label styles that we're going to move over for this class. On the surface style, we're going to move over this contours 1 foot and 5 foot. And it's the first one, so it's the background. So slide that down to my template. And then grab your contours and triangle surface style. And I'll show you what both of these look like in just a little bit. Okay, now on your label styles, you have different kinds of labeling for surfaces, and we're going to take some of the contour labeling. We're going to take existing major labels. So major labels would be index contours, and we're going to take existing minor labels, and that is just the labels of minor, the contours that go between the index contours. Okay. So that's all we need from this other template from the Imperial NCS. So I'm going to close it. Do you want to save changes? No. And then I still want to keep this other one open because I want to change one other thing. In the settings, right click on surface and select edit feature settings. And here are features of the surface that you can change everything here. But we're just concerned with a couple different areas. We're going to change the default style. So the surface default style, I'm going to change to this contours 1 foot and 5 foot. And on the contour labeling default, we're going to change, okay, yours should say true here. It says display contour label line. Yours says true. We want that to say false. And then the surface contour label style for major, we're setting the default label style for major labels for index contours. And we're going to change that. Sorry, I did that quickly, I know. We're going to change that to existing major labels. Hit OK. And now the surface contour label style for minor labels, minor contours, we're going to change that to existing minor labels and hit OK. Okay, so I think we're set and ready to go. Save the changes, close the template, and let's start a new drawing. Okay, this is going to be our surface assignment, so I'm going to go ahead and save it now as the assignment name. So I'm going to go to desktop, my project folder, and I have already created a project folder for my current project. If you want to create one, you can create it by saying create new folder here. And we're going to call it surface. I've already created one previously, but I'm going to replace that one with this one. Okay. Now the first thing we need to do is bring in our point file from the shot from the field. But you need to remember to go ahead and change the layer. Anytime you bring points into a drawing, it will bring them in on the current layer. So you'll have to make sure you change that to the correct layer. And I'm going to change mine to my points layer I created before. You could leave it on 0, but it might cause little problems with your printing and paper space later on. So I just select something else. Okay, so let's go to the Insert tab on your ribbon, and we're going to add points from File. Hit the plus, and we're going to add this topo points and that I send to you in the email. And we're also going to add these points to a point group. And as you can see, we don't have any point groups created in this drawing yet, so we're going to select this button to create a point group. And we're going to call that topo. So say OK, and again say OK here. So now the points are in the file, but we can't see them, so I'm going to hit Zoom Extend so that we can. And as you can see, all of our points are kind of large, so I'm going to change my scale down to about 1=30, and that looks a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and create the surface. But in Civil 3D, when you create a surface, it doesn't really do anything until you add data to it. There are points in the drawing, but we are not going to associate them with the surface until we've already created the surface. You'll find out what I mean in just a moment. So basically, we're going to create a surface, but all we're going to be doing is giving it a name and a description and telling it what styles to use. That's it. Then we'll add the data. So let's go back to the Home tab. On the Create Ground Data panel, select Surfaces, and then Create Surface. Alright, the first thing it asks is the type. If you select it, then you can see that there are 4 different types of surfaces you can create. You can do volume surfaces, so that if you have 2 different surfaces, you can tell a volume. But in this situation, we're just going to use a 10 surface. And then it wants to know what layer you want that surface to go on. And we're going to change that layer. It wants to know the base layer name. And I'm going to click this button here. And it asks me, it gives all the layers that are currently in my drawing and which one do I want to use. And I want to create a new one. And I want to call that layer name Topo. And everything else I want to leave at default. White, line type, all that's fine. Say OK. And so now it's added it to my layers. And now that's the base layer name for my surface layer. Now I'm going to add a modifier to that layer name. This is kind of neat. I'm going to add a suffix, and the modifier value is going to be -*. Say OK. And now here, it has that the name of the surface will be called surface and the next counter. So surface 1, surface 2, surface 3. But we're not going to do that. We're going to call it EG for existing ground. Now, when I select the description, it updates my layer to Topo EG for existing ground. It's kind of neat. And now in the description, we can say existing ground elevation. You can see here that my surface style is contours at 1 foot and 5 foot, and that is what we selected in the template drawing previously. And we're going to say OK. Alright, so now go to your tool space on the Prospector tab, and now there's a plus next to surfaces. Push that, and now you can see that we do have a surface that's called EG in our drawing. Okay, but none of the contours are drawn yet because we haven't told it that these points are associated with it. You could have hundreds of points in this drawing, but you don't want to contour all of them. You just want to contour some of them. So we're going to contour these. And the way we do that is we go to the Modify tab on the ribbon, and we're going to modify ground data. We're going to modify the surface. And here we're going to add data. Now, you could add a boundary to your surface. You can add break lines to your surface if there are ditches, roadways, any kind of break lines in the surface. So it will help its triangulation work out a little bit better. You can add many different things. You can add point files, but we're going to add a point group. Remember when we created the point, insert the points as a point group. We created a new point group called Topo. So we're going to add that point group to our surface. So select Topo, say OK, and there it is. But as you can see, well, not but as you can see, this is the contour line at every 1 foot. There's 1 foot interval, and every 5 feet there's a major contour. And you can't really distinguish and tell the difference between the minor and the major. So we're going to change that. And the way we're going to do that is by actually editing the color of that label. So let's go in the settings, and I'll show you here. In the labels, or not labels, surface style, right click on edit. You can see here that our major contours are on this layer, see Topo Major, and it's this color. You can change that color here, or you can change it in the main layer. So I'm going to show you how to do that too. Let's go back to the Home tab, Properties Manager, or Layer Manager, and we're going to go up to See Topo Major, and we're going to change that color to red. Okay. And there you go, it automatically updated that, and any new ones you create will also be red. If you change it here, then it will only be changing it temporarily. It will not change it for every new surface style that you create, or a new surface that you create. Okay, so let's look at this as contours and triangles. Let's go back to the Prospector tab. Actually, okay, let's do it this way. Click on anywhere in the surface on one of the lines, and then our Contextual tab on the ribbon shows that. Let's edit the surface properties, sorry. And let's go to Surface Properties. And here where it says Surface Style, let's change that to Contours and Triangles. Okay. Now this is the triangulation that happens with the contours. And so if something doesn't look right in your drawing, you can edit those triangles here. I just wanted you to see it, see what it looks like. That is the 10 surface. Those are the triangles that make up the 10 surface. And what they are is triangles made between your points. Okay? And every point on this line has an elevation. So from this point to this point, there's an elevation all the way along that line. That is a slope line. Okay? So that's about all you really need to know for this class about those triangles, but you will be able to edit and change those triangles. You can change some of them, but we're not going to be doing that in this class. So, okay, let's go back and change that back to the other surface style. So let's change the contours 1 foot and 5 foot. Alright, so now it looks right.